Pan. Hello.
Hello everyone. My presentation today will be on Poseidon. First slide, next slide. The history of the Greeks, just a little background of the Greek people, just to get you a little informed about where these myths came from. The Greeks cherished life very much so, and they believed it was one of the greatest wonders of the world. They believed that humans were miracles because above all other organisms, they had the ability to reason and use logic. They passed on these myths from word of mouth and other communication ways like statues and drawings. And of course, back then they didn't have as much scientific understanding that we do, so they created these myths to help understand the world that they knew. One of the earliest known powerful gods is named Poseidon. Poseidon is most popularly known as god of the sea. He is also credited for god of earthquakes, god of horses. He's also credited with giving man the first horse. This is a little family tree. He had only two grandparents, because his mother and father were brother and sister. His grandparents were Uranus and Gaia, and they had Cronus and Rhea. And Cronus and Rhea had 6 children. So his 5 brothers and sisters were Hestia, Hera, Zeus, Demeter, and Hades. Next slide. Poseidon wasn't always god of the sea. He actually got that by chance. He drew, or some stories say that he drew straws with Zeus and Hades, because Cronus, their father, was god of the universe. He was god of everything. And after they overthrew him, Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon got to divide the underworld, the sky, and the sea. And Poseidon picked the sea. Slide. Yeah, modern depictions of Poseidon, you see him in pop culture. The Little Mermaid has one of him. He's holding a trident. A lot of them have riding white horses, and he's also known for dolphins back then. Poseidon, his children. He had many children. It varies between stories, but he was known to have around 100, over 100. Close to the site that I had, it had about 120. Some of his most popular children you may have heard of were Pegasus, the horse. Let's see. Triton was the fish-tailed sea god. Charybdis was in the story of Odysseus. She was the sea monster that created these huge whirlpools. Proteus was a seal herder who worked with Poseidon. And Atlas was the overlord of the kingdoms of Atlantis, that lost continent. And he was also the god who had to hold the earth on his back for a punishment. Slide. And these are some stories that involve Poseidon. The naming of Athens was, he was very well known for the story. The city of Athens was called Acropolis at the time, and the people of Acropolis were looking for a god or a goddess to protect them. And Athena and Poseidon both wanted the title, but so they had everyone in the town vote. There's 2 different stories. One story says that all the men voted for Poseidon and all the women voted for Athena, was the other goddess he was competing with. And because there was one more woman than man in the town, Athena won. This made Poseidon very angry, so he flooded the town at first. So in order for the people to get their town back, they had to worship Poseidon, not Athena, and they lived in her town. So then Athena was upset, and then she made it so that women couldn't vote anymore in future elections, ever. So that's I took that as a little explanation for why, the democracies they set up, women couldn't vote. So, but that is why Athens is named after Athena. Next slide. The story just involves a little. Poseidon was active in the Trojan War, helping out here and there. He favored the Greeks because during the building in the Trojan War, there was Greeks on one side and then the Trojans on the other side. During the Trojan War, before the Trojan War, Poseidon and Apollo were building the walls of Troy, and the king at the time promised to pay them in gold vines of gold, and then they finished and he didn't pay. So then Poseidon obviously, took spite against the Trojans, and so when the war came, he was all in favor of the Greeks. Let's see. Odysseus was on the Greek side, but then after he went on a journey, so just after the Trojan War, Odysseus had a run-in with Poseidon's Cyclops son, and he defeated him, made him look terrible, and then after he defeated his son, he goes on to sail, but Poseidon was like, he was mad for what he did, so he caused shipwrecks and blew Odysseus off course, and was very vengeful, showed a lot of his anger. This story I named A New Beginning because Zeus and Poseidon drowned the world. Kind of little Noah's Ark thing, where they were upset with the people because they weren't worshiping them and weren't respecting them well enough. So Zeus and Poseidon got together and said, look, we got to drown the world. They caused up huge floods and tidal waves, and only 2 people survived this. And those 2 people were so, they said, they got the message, they said, we get it, we're going to respect you, and, we'll pay sacrifices, and all that. So then from then on, they, humanity, they were allowed to but I took this as a message, a strong message towards authority. A message of true respect.
I can stop.
There was another story that Poseidon was in, involved him and Zeus drowning the world. Zeus and Poseidon were angry at the people for not respecting them and not paying them enough sacrifices. So what they did, Zeus said, we can't have this isn't unacceptable, so we're going to drown the world. And they caused up huge tidal waves and massive floods, and together they wipe out all of humanity except for 2 people. These 2 people got the message, and they said, okay, you know what, we're gonna pay respect, and we're gonna pay sacrifices, and from their generosity, and because they learned the lesson, then they were able to, then the god said, okay, here, you can have more humans, you can have company. They were lonely. And I took this story as a message to authority. You must respect authority. You have to, give them the proper respects and pay them sacrifices when needed, and not ask any questions, or it could have very devastating effects. And that's my presentation on Poseidon.
Trisha, hi, this is John from Holland.
Hello. Thank you for watching.
Introduce the other audience members. Yeah. My dad, Mary Jo. Friend Mary Jo, you probably know her.
Hi. Michael.
Hello.
I'm Kelly.
Pete, Kelly.
Hi.
Hello, Patricia.
Hope you've enjoyed.